It is February 10th. Here is your update of what was going on in the war in Ukraine. Now, I want to focus on the drama surrounding General Valery Zaluzhny. Rumors started swirling last week with multiple publications such as the Financial Times and The Economist stating that the head of the armed forces was about to be sacked by President Zelensky. They said this information was coming from unnamed sources from inside the government. Those statements received wide criticism for being incendiary and only citing unnamed sources. Shortly after that, the Ministry of Defense and the Office of the President both made statements saying it was untrue. Following those announcements, the people who made the original statements dug in and said that it had been true and there had been a meeting offering Zaluzhny another position that he had then declined. Zelensky had even signed paperwork firing Zaluzhny, but after the public outcry, that decision had been walked back, at least for a while. The backlash was so strong that Twitter put the "This is fake news" sticker on some of the tweets. The saga kept on developing with a lot of twists and turns over the week, but finally yesterday the news came from the president's office stating that Zaluzhny would be taking up a new position inside the team. So basically fired, but still there, kinda. The president announced also that Alexander Syrski, the head of the ground forces, is to be the new commander-in-chief of the armed forces. So who is Syrski and what do I think about this decision? Well, he is born in Vladimir Oblast in Soviet Russia in 1965. He moved to Ukraine in 1980. He graduated from the Moscow Higher Military Command School in 1986. Served in Afghanistan in the Red Army and held significant military positions inside Ukraine, including the commander of the famous 72nd Mechanized Brigade. According to my sources from inside the armed forces, he is generally disliked. One soldier told me, quote, "He is a drunk and a butcher," end quote. As I mentioned before, he received all of his military education in Russia, so that could work as a benefit as he knows the enemy pretty well, but also works as a major disadvantage, where he might not want to modernize and wants to meet in a head-on kind of Soviet-era attritional artillery battles. Regrettably, he is known for his reluctance to receive bad news and his willingness to accept significant losses, as is evident in the bloodiest battles of the war for the Ukrainians at the defense of Bakhmut and Soledar. A primary cause for the rift between Zaluzhny and Zelensky was Zaluzhny's proposal to mobilize 500,000 men. It is hard for me to see Syrski requesting anything less. And if you look at his strategies so far, I wouldn't be surprised he would ask for even more. I'm not saying that General Syrski has no redeeming qualities. I mean, absolutely not. Like his role as the head of the ground forces brought Ukraine through the most remarkable victories so far, the defense of Kyiv and the Kharkiv counter-offensive. That I am very certain of is that I have no idea why the appointing of Syrski instead of Zaluzhny is supposed to represent a new direction or a reset of military command, other than just like a literal change of those things and changing a person. I mean, he hasn't shown any outward willingness to adapt and develop new tactics, technologies, or at least not to the extent that Zaluzhny has. I point you towards Zaluzhny's newest essay for CNN, where he goes over just that, how he wants the military to move on and the need for Ukraine to modernize, even futurize. I will go over that essay in a separate video as I think it has some great points. Syrski's willingness to accept high losses suggests that his military education in Moscow still influences his decision-making process. In a purely attritional war, Ukraine can't win. They simply are at a numerical disadvantage. In a statement on his Telegram channel, Syrski stated that he was grateful from the bottom of his heart and that the main tasks on the agenda were the need for a detailed plan for the military administration units, where he would focus on making sure things would go where needed. basically improving military logistics. He says he prioritizes the health of his servicemen and notes that they are the main value of the army, calling for a balance between the combat tasks and the restoration of units. The intensification of training for personnel and the training is more relevant than ever. He mentioned technology and the need to scale existing solutions and introduction of new ones. So according to his statement, he appears to be addressing at least some of the main points of criticism. But in my book, actions speak louder than words, and hopefully he will put his money where his mouth is. And talking about money, if you want to support me and independent journalism, please consider buying me a coffee and or donating directly to my PayPal. It really helps me out. The link is in my bio. I'll see you next time.